So today's class and this week's theme goes to very classical, a Tibetan theme, and the movement is familiar and yet different. So we're going to start in a seated position. You can be cross-legged, you can have legs out in front of you. I'm sitting on a bolster, and you'll see that my legs are inverted, so I'm like kneeling up and I've just gone down. That happens to be comfortable for me. Bring your hands comfortably to your lap or rest them in Dhyana Mudra, thumb to second finger, whatever works for you, or palms upturned. And bring your attention to the base of the spine. So you breathe in and out. And to connect movement to the base of the spine, perhaps just lightly turn your palms down, resting them on your thighs or your knees. And as you breathe in, lengthen at the front of the body as you lift up. And as you breathe out, curl inwards, chin comes slightly to chest. Breathing in, sitting up. Breathing out, chin to chest. And carry on the opening movement to bring mobility to the spine. And then gradually bring that movement to stillness. And in your imagination, visualize moving slightly up the inside of the spine to the midway point from the base of the tailbone to the navel. Somewhere in between is the neck chakra up inside the spine. So it's a lower abdominal level. And breathe in and out, bringing your focus to this point. And then to bring movement to here, begin to very gently circle in one direction. Your circling can be small, it can stay small, it can increase in size. And you don't have to stay in one plane, you can dive down and swirl up. Entirely your choice. As you connect to the fluid element associated with this chakra, the element of water, and connecting to the adrenal glands sitting on top of the kidneys. And then very gently swirl around the other way. And then come to stillness. And bring your focus further up the inside of the spine, level with the navel area. So it's not on the outside of the backbone, it's just inside the backbone, behind the navel. And this connects to the digestive system, the digestive fire, the element of fire, and the Manipura chakra, which connects and links to our inner us, how we shine in the outside world, how we transform and digest life. Just very gently bring your left hand to your right thigh. Place your right hand on your right waist. Breathe in as you lengthen your spine and breathe out as you turn to the right. Come back to the center. Just lightly connect both hands to the thighs again, lengthening along the front of the body, the back of the body, lifting up. And then bring your right hand to the left thigh, left hand on the left waist. And just turn to the left. So this is activating the energy at the navel center. And then just very gently bring yourself back to the center. And in your mind's eye, just bring your attention to a little bit further up behind the chest, in front of the backbone, but behind the chest, it's the heart chakra. And just bring both hands, you can cross them at the heart center. And breathing in, just gently open the hands out to the side. And breathing out, bring the hands back to the center as you lower your chin to your chest. Breathing in, opening your hands out. And breathing out, bring your hands back to your chest. Breathing in, feel the air, that's the element connected with the chakra, through your hands and fingers, chin to chest. Breathing in, this becomes a mindfulness movement, moving meditation. Chin to chest. And last time, just let the fingers trail outwards and bringing your chin back, chin to chest. Drop your hands to a comfortable position in your lap. And then move up to the throat area. And breathing in, turn your head to the left. Breathing out, turn your head to the right. In to the left. And out to the right. In to the left. And out to the right. In to the left. And out to the right. Bring your head back to the center. And in your imagination, your visualization, let your focus travel to the forehead, the third eye, the little dent in your forehead. And with the pads of the fingers of one hand, just very gently circle around that third eye area in one direction. And then very gently circle in the other direction. And drop your hands. And then thinking of the crown of the head, the Saraswara, and imagine a white light swirling around the crown of the head, and pull that white light in through the top of the crown and let it travel all the way down the body, leading through the soles of the feet. And again, focus that white light, drawing it through the crown all the way down and leading through the soles of the feet. And one last time, through the crown, leading through the soles of the feet. Take an in and out breath. And then wherever and however you're sitting, roll to come forward, tucking your toes. We're going to come up to standing, and we're going to come into the next warm-ups, into salute to the sun, rolling up vertebra by vertebra, lifting and rolling the shoulders. Come to the top of the mat. Inhale, exhale, hands together at the heart center. Inhale, circle the arms up, stretch your fingers, press your feet down. Hands Palms together through the centre of the body. Bend your knees and bend your elbows as you roll down, hands either side of your feet. Step back with your right foot. We're going to keep it high in plank. Left foot, you're in plank, heels up to the ceiling. Bend both knees to the ground. Bring your bottom slightly backwards. And then elbows on the ground as you slide forwards. Come to lying on the ground and stretch your arms in front of you. Slide your hands back to your chest area, elbows in. Press your hands down, come back to kneeling. Tuck your toes, tummy in. Come to your downward dog. Feel that you can separate your feet and that you can bend one knee and then bend the other knee. You can sway your hips from side to side. Stretch back both legs. Bend both knees back down to the ground. Hands to the left. Right foot comes up. Hands either side of the right foot. Let yourself stretch into your right hip. But then bring your right knee back to a 90-degree angle to support your weight as you tuck your left toes underneath. Lift your left knee and step your left foot to your right foot. Hands on your shins, half lift. Breathe out, bend in, bend your knees and bend your elbows. Hands on the shins, half lift. Stay here as you breathe out. And breathing in, bend your knees, press your feet down as you roll up vertebra by vertebra. Stretch your hands up and then lower your hands alongside you. Lift and roll your shoulders. Bring your palms together as you breathe out. Circle your hands up, stretch your fingers. Palms together. Through the centre as you bend your knees and bend your elbows. Hands touch the ground. Step back with your left foot, stay high in plank. Right foot, you're in plank. Heels up to the ceiling. Bend both knees back down to the ground. Bring your bottom slightly behind you. Elbows come to the ground. As you slide through onto your tummy, and then stretch your arms out in front of you. Take an in and an out breath here. Slide your hands back, elbows in, press down on your hands and your knees. Tucking your toes, move your hands or your feet if you need to as you come into your downward dog. Bending one knee and then bending the other knee as you walk the dog. You can roll your hips from side to side. Bend both knees back down to the ground, hands to the right. Left foot comes up, hands either side of your left foot. Stretch into the left hip, but bring your left knee back to 90 degrees to support your weight as you tuck your right foot underneath. Lift your right knee and then step your right foot to your left foot and press your hands on the shins, breathing in, lengthen the half lift. Breathing out, bend in. Breathing in, press your hands on your shins, lengthen. Stay here as you breathe out. And breathing in, press your feet into the ground as you roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing. Raising your arms up, stretch up and press your feet into the ground. And then lowering your hands. Lift and roll your shoulders. As you inhale, exhale, bring the hands together. Circle the arms up, stretch your fingers. Palms together, bring the hands through the center. As you bend down, hands either side of your feet, stepping back in high plank, right foot, then your left foot, heels up, tummy in, bend both knees to the ground, uncurl your feet, bottom goes slightly back, elbows come onto the ground, and you slide through onto your tummy, and then stretch your hands out in front of you. Take an in and an out breath. Bring your hands back to either side of your chest, elbows in, press down on your hands and your knees. Tuck your toes, tummy in, to support your core as you come back up into downward dog. Feel free to adjust your feet inwards and your feet slightly wider if you need to. Bending one knee and then bending the other knee as you walk the dog. Both feet back, bend both knees to the ground. Move your hands to the left. It gives space for your right foot to come up. And hands either side of your right foot as you stretch forward beyond the 90 degrees with your right knee. But make sure you bring your knee back to 90 degrees to tap your left toes, tummy in, supporting the core. Lift your left knee and then step your left foot to your right foot, hands on the shins, lengthening, half lift. Breathe out, bend your knees, bend your elbows. Press your hands on your shins, half lift. Stay here as you breathe out. And breathing in, soften your knees, press your feet into the ground and roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing. Stretch your arms up, fingers stretch, lower your arms. Lift and roll your shoulders, inhale, exhale, hands together. Circle your arms up, palms together and bring them through the center, bending your knees, bending your elbows as you roll down. Hands either side as you come back with your left foot high in plank, right foot, your plank, tummy in. Bend both knees to the ground. Bottom slightly goes back to allow your elbows to come to the ground and then forward on your tummy. Stretch your arms out. In and out breath here. Slide your hands back, palms down, elbows in, come onto your knees, tuck your toes. Come to your downward dog. Walk the dog. And then stretch both legs back, bend your knees back down to the ground. Hands to the right to give space to your left foot to come up, hands either side of your left foot. Stretch into your left hip. Knee back to 90 degrees, tuck your toes, tummy in, lift your right knee and step your right foot to your left. Hands on the shins, half lift. Breathe it out, hug in. Breathe in, half lift. Stay here as you breathe out. And breathing in, soften your feet as you press them into the ground and roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing, stretching up, breathing out, lowering the hands, lift and roll the shoulders. Hands at the heart center, and then come to bend your knees and come to a seated position with your legs out in front of you. And come to bounce your legs on the ground. Circle your ankles in one direction. Circle your ankles in the other direction. And then slightly open your legs into a V. And bend up your right knee, opening your right knee to the side, to the right, sole of the right foot towards the inside of the left leg. Extend the left heel, turn the body to the left leg, circle, the arms up, I'm going to bend my elbows to support a weaker back, but you can come straight over, sliding your hands down your shins, stopping where it's comfortable, and coming to Janushirasana, which is head to knee pose, which becomes an opening of the groin on one side, a forward bend, which is calming to the nervous system, and a slight rotation, in this case to the left, opening up the right side. So this pose ticks quite a few boxes. You might like to press your hands into your shins to lengthen along the spine, lifting up slightly and then come down again. Lift up, bring your left hand behind you and look up at your right thumb. And then lower your right hand, and there is an option to press your right hand into the ground. This is strong, and to lift up, lengthening along the left side, chin tucks in. Lower the left arm, hug the right knee into the chest, and extend your right leg out along the floor. Bounce your legs, circle your ankles again a little bit in one direction, and then the other direction. And then open your legs once more into that V, and this time hug your left knee into your chest. Open your left knee to the left so that the inside, the sole of your left foot is to the inside of your right leg. Extend your right heel. Turn your body towards the right, circle your hands up, and then I'm going to bend my elbows to support me coming over and slide my hands down my right shin. Janushirasana on the other side. So I find this quite difficult to think of lengthening both sides, that I'm not crunching up on one side or the other, which generally means a greater rotation, but these are all very small fine-tuning points. Remember to extend your right heel so that the toes of your right foot are up to the ceiling. And then press down on your shins to lengthen your spine and just come down a little bit more. And then walk your hands up, and your left hand goes behind you as you raise your right hand goes behind you as you raise your left arm up. And then lower the left arm, raise your right arm, and optionally, because it is still, come up, stretching along the right side here, chin to the chest. And then breathing out, lower your bottom back down to the ground, hug your left knee into the chest, and stretch out your left leg, just bouncing your feet. And then come to Baddha Konasana by bending both knees, soles of the feet towards one another, and holding where it's appropriate for you. So there are 3 expressions on Baddha Konasana. The first is to hold over your feet, which brings you down further. Your feet will tend to come in more towards your groin, and that's a stronger version. You can then slide your hands so that your thumbs are on the insides of the soles of the feet to massage them, and you'll come up a little bit more. Or you can sit up almost totally. Your feet can be slightly further away from you, and hold your ankles or above your ankles. So with your thumbs, you can either come and massage the insoles of your feet, the insides of your ankles, all soothing. Or you can hold your ankles and just bounce your knees. then just come to a cross-legged position. This is very Tibetan. Place your hands either side of you and just lift your bottom, tense your perineum once, twice, 3 times. There is a theory behind it, it's quite unusual. And then very, very gently roll onto your hands and knees into a tabletop as we leave what we've been working on, the base chakra, and just slightly move up the body. We're coming into a transition, so cat-cow, dipping the back, looking up and round in the back. Again, dipping the back and round in the back. One more time, dipping the back, either looking up or along the mat, and rounding, chin comes to the chest. Come to neutral. Drop your bottom to the side. We're going to be coming to lying on our backs. And hug the right knee into the chest. Left leg extends along the mat. Chin slightly in, so that the back of the neck is long. Just enjoy hugging the right knee into the chest and extend your left heel. And then roll your entire body, including the hugged in right knee, to the left. You can take support under your right knee. Just going to demonstrate that. Your left hand can hold your right thigh and your right hand can rest on the right waist, looking either up or to the right. Just check that your left heel is slightly extended, it doesn't have to be a lot. So this is a recline to supine twist, which has a lot of benefits. It's touching in another tradition on the aspects of somatics, where the head goes one way, the knees going another way. You're stretching out your intercostal muscles, so the diaphragm, so they call it the diaphragm psoas matrix. And then very gently roll onto the back, hug the right knee into the chest. Place your right foot on the floor and let your right leg stretch out along the mat. You might want to bend both knees to what I call straighten yourself up. But then of course you're going to be hugging the left knee into the chest, extending the right heel. And then reversing the action by rolling the entire body, including the hugged in knee, to the right. You might want your elbow on the ground to help you go over. Your right hand holds your left knee or your left thigh, and your left hand goes on the left waist. Extend the right heel and just look either up or to the left. And then very gently roll onto your back, hugging your left knee into your chest. Let the right knee join, hug both knees into the chest. Just very gently circle both knees in one direction, and then circle both knees a little bit in the other direction. And come to roll onto your side. We're going to come up to a seated position. I'm sticking to the classic aspect here. So they're going to come to a forward bend. Just lift the flesh out from underneath you. Raising your hands up, palms together, and then either come straight over or bend your elbows to slide your hands down your shins. And come into a forward bend. Extend both heels. So when you've done quite a big twist or a rotation, it's quite nice to compensate that by coming forward with the spine into a forward bend. The chin to the chest activates the vagus nerve, which is calming for the nervous system. You can press your hands on your shins to lengthen along your spine and come perhaps a little bit more forward. If you've got long arms or you've got a very wonderful bend, you can hold your feet. You can hold your big toes. And then very gently slide your hands up your legs, bend both knees, hold under the thighs and come into lifting your feet off the ground. You're coming into boat. Now, be warned, this is very strong on the core, so you need to bring your tummy in to support you and sit upright. I'm already finding that impossible. So I'm going to demonstrate very quickly. You can stay like this, and I would suggest doing it, but for those of you who've got a very strong core, you can lift your legs up, and for a nanosecond you can bring your hands forward. I find this difficult, so I'm going to go back to hugging the knees into the chest under the thighs. And when you've had enough, just very lightly touch your feet to the ground. Come to lying on the ground, knees bent, feet either hip width apart or wider than hip width apart. And the hands can be either out in a T or resting on your abdomen. And windscreen wiper the knees. Both knees drop to the right and your left hip will lift. Knees come back to the centre and both knees drop to the left and your right hip lifts. Come to the centre and just do this in your own time. And you might feel that you want to involve your head that perhaps might naturally turn away from the direction of your knees, but there is no right or wrong. And then very gently coming to the centre, hugging both knees into the chest, still holding them, let both knees travel away to arm's length. Knees to chest, still holding them, let them travel away. You would naturally inhale as they travel away and naturally exhale as you hug your knees into the chest. And then we're going to gently come to roll onto the side and come onto all fours. So in your time, roll onto the side, come onto all fours as we move into the next series of small asanas. Just very gently circle the tailbone in one direction, keeping the movement like a pencil in your tailbone, and so minimizing the movement in the shoulders. You might curl up in your body and then circling your tailbone in the other direction. Come back to central. Move your hands to the left, step your right foot forward. Here you can either keep your left top of the foot flat. The actual classic Tibetan movement invites you to tuck your toes under. You might or might not like doing that, but it's up to you. Come back to the centre with your hands and your body, and then just kneel up. If you find that you're wobbling, then bring your right foot out towards the edge of the mat to support your balance. Kneel up. You can have support under your knee in the form of a blanket or anything that comes to hand. Raise your left arm up, stretch your left arm up, and then turn. I'm going to bring to the right. I'm going to bring my palms of the hands together, and my left elbow goes to the outside of my right leg. Turn as if you're laying your head on a pillow to the right, chin tucked into the chest, and your right palm presses down on your left. So this becomes a rotation at the midline centre, and if you press your hands and right palm into the left, it will lift you up at the chest level. So you'll turn a little bit more. And just take an in and an out breath here. You can look straight ahead, close your eyes, or look up, depending on where you feel comfortable. De-rotate, hands either side of your right leg. Lift your left knee. Step your left foot to your right foot. Hold your big toes underneath with the second and third fingers on both feet. Thumbs on the top. And you're forming a perfect circle. You can bend your knees to facilitate this circle. Or if you're able to lengthen your legs, then you can come forward and stretch out the back of your thighs. It all very much depends on your arm length, your anatomy really. And then bring your hands out from under your feet, palms or fingers touch either side of your toes. And this time slide your right foot back, right knee goes on the ground. Your left foot can go out to the side. You can tuck your right toes under or keep them flat. Your choice. And then kneel up. Raise your right arm. Tummy in. Bring your right elbow across your left knee. Palms together. Press down. Top left palm is on the bottom right. You can look forward, chin in, look up, have your eyes closed. And then de-rotate, hands either side of your left foot. Lift up your right knee and step your right foot to your left. Either do the same, hold under your big toes, or if you can manage it, just bring your hands underneath your soles of the feet. Forming that circle, lengthen your feet and your legs if you can. Take your feet out from under, your hands out from under your feet, soften your knees and roll up to standing. Hands up, come through the centre, and then come to a comfortable seated position for a few rounds of breath work, either cross-legged. I'm going to sit on my bolster, and I'm going to breathe in through the nose And as I breathe out through the nose, but quite sharply, my tummy comes in. So it's one round, and then again. And then another round. The focus is just on the exhalation. The inhalation takes care of itself. It's called Kapalabhati, or shining skull breath. So if you have high blood pressure, perhaps not great, but it is a very cleansing and therapeutic. It's one of the almost kriyas of cleansing and clearing toxins from the system. And then just release. And just close your eyes and let the movement settle into the body. And then just hands on the thighs, sitting up, breathing out round. We're transitioning from the center part, going up to the heart, breathing out round chin to chest, breathing in lengthening, breathing out rounding chin to chest, and then breathing in lengthening, breathing out chin to chest. So for this, I'm going to bring my right leg forward and then cross over my left and then sit back. Now then you can have support under your bottom if you need it. You'll see that my feet are opening almost like cow's ears. Very great for the hips, but not necessarily that easy. So do take support under your bottom if you need it. Just sitting up, we're going to keep it very simple. With the right leg crossed over the left, you'll feel this in your outer right hips, your piriformis muscle. And then release your hands. We're going to come forward again, unravel the legs, and then this time the left leg comes in front of the right. You might have your own way of getting into this, and then sitting back again. Just wiggle your feet so that you can see your cow's ears. Hug your left knee, sitting up. And again, you'll feel this in your left outer hip. Breathing in and breathing out. And then unraveling your legs, coming forward onto your hands and knees, transitioning in a cat-cow, dipping the back, rounding chin to chest, dipping the back, and rounding chin to chest. Dip the back. As you round chin to chest, tuck your toes. Come into a soft downward dog, walking the dog. And then walk your feet to your hands to your feet. Soften your knees and roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing. Lift and roll the shoulders. Step out. Hands out. Just sway from side to side. Turn your left foot in, your right foot out. Classic warrior 2. Drop your weight centrally and turn to look beyond the third finger of your right hand. Feel that you're putting the weight slightly onto your back foot, or feel that someone's holding your back hand and just gently push, bringing you backwards so that you're not putting the weight forward on the front knee, you're coming backwards. Drop your hands, bring your feet parallel, just again sway from side to side, and then turn your right foot in and your left foot out. So if we were being very precise about this, you could draw a line from your front heel and it would intersect the middle of your back arch. And your legs as wide as your legs will take you. In therapy, the closer the legs, the easier it is. Very careful not to let that front knee drop in. You can almost just guide your hand there to stop that. Drop your weight centrally by lifting up, hands out. Feel that someone's just gently holding you by the back, in this case my right hand, and look beyond the third finger of your left hand. Of course you can drop deeper, just checking that your knee doesn't come in. A classic warrior 2. Strengthening and uplifting because you're lifting up from the chest. And then dropping the hands, bringing the feet to the center, and heel toe the feet in by toes in towards one another, and then heels, toes, heels, toes, heels. Until you feel that your feet are comfortably hip-width apart, and then a very familiar just swaying gently from side to side. Just slowly swaying down and come to standstill. Your feet hip width apart. We come to a Tibetan triangle. So keeping the left arm close to the left side, almost holding the left thigh with your hand and raising your right arm. Almost turn the arm so that the inside of the arm is close to your facing your right ear. In Tibetan movement, actually the two must join. It's quite tricky. And then just very gently, you're not going to go very far. My right hand is going over to the left, my chin is in. Really the movement is quite minimal. You can come in and out, make it slightly more dynamic, chin to chest. And then pressing the feet down into the ground, come upright. And lower the right arm. Lift and roll the shoulders. And then we're going to come to the other side, raising the left arm. And coming to feel that you're between two panes of glass, so that you're not twisting your body. It's quite tricky, it looks so easy, but you're using quite a lot of muscles to support this movement. And then coming up. And lowering the hands. Raise both arms, hold your thumbs. You might like to step your feet out a little bit. And then come to swaying palm. Just side to side. Very soothing. In yoga, this swaying palm tree works on the Vata dosha, which is predominantly, has a predominance of air in it. And air connects into pain. Any Vata disturbance connects to this. So this is again very soothing. Come to the center and lower the hands. Lift and roll the shoulders. So there are many versions of tree. You can keep your toes on the ground. You can lift your toes up. Whatever works for you. I've got my hands in Jnana Mudra, so second finger curled into the thumb. Some people prefer to hold their hands like this. Some people like their hands up. Whatever works for you. It's a balance. It's a focus. I've lost balance. When you're balancing, it's hard to think of anything else. When you're ready, come back down. Lift and roll the shoulders. You can always hold on. One of the things, so you'll sometimes see people doing a perfect tree with their leg quite some way up, but in order to do that, they're pushing their foot into the inner thigh, and they're pushing out their thigh, and you'll see them bowing out. So just be aware of that you're not bowing out, because that's not great either. See where it works for you. And then just gently lower your hands. Lift and roll the shoulders. Hands together. And we're going to be coming back down to the ground. Into a form of half shoulder stand. So you can just lie with your legs up, either against the wall or freestyle in the room. I quite like to have a support under the sacrum. It's very individual. We're not going to stay here for very long, but just letting the support feel comfortable. Hands either palms down or resting on the abdomen, bending the knees in, and then legs up to the ceiling, and you can even let the legs travel back a little bit so that the pressure on the back is in the middle of the back behind the heart. It's a variation of something called Viparita Karani, so it's like a half shoulder stand. The chin is tucked into the chest slightly, but there's no pressure. It's a softer version of a shoulder stand. And any inversion is very beneficial for balancing our hormones, our endocrine system. You can stay static, or of course there are so many options. You can just gently circle the feet in one direction. You can circle the feet, the heels in the other direction, all very minimal movement. Don't do what I'm doing by turning your head. Keep your neck and head central. You can cross one leg over the other and just lift up. And then the other way, lifting up. You can split, going down. Lots of variations, or just stay static. You can slightly sway from side to side, a little bit like seaweed moving in the water. And then very gently come to bend your knees into your chest. And place your feet on the ground. I need to take this support out from underneath me, coming back down to the ground, perhaps hugging the knees into the chest, and rolling onto the side, coming onto the tummy. Again, taking time to do that, no hurry. And there are lots of options here, but we're going to come onto our elbows, so that becomes a Sphinx pose. Looking down at the ground. Just wobble the bottom from side to side, sacroiliac SIS stabilizer. And you can just bounce the feet so that the backs of the feet just tap onto the mat, the floor. The top of the feet is connected to our lymphatic system, our upper lymphatic system, to my understanding. And then just open your elbows out to the side, one hand on top of the other, either palms flat or in a fist, knees slightly wider apart. And bend your feet up to the ceiling as you just windscreen wipe your feet from side to side. And then lower the feet to the ground. Just take an in and an out breath here. And then just very gently slide back. Come onto the hands and knees. You might like to come via puppy pose, bottom up in the air, head down, or head resting for a moment on hands. And then coming up to sitting on our bottoms. And just lifting the chest, lifting the chin, and letting the eyes move upwards. This is a very controlled movement. The chin is lifting a little bit. There's no letting go of the head. It becomes a mindfulness exercise as the eyes disconnect from the stress centers of the brain. And then very slowly coming to upright. And this time we're going to come to a variation of bridge. Bending the knees, we're coming onto our back, coming onto the elbows. Palms down. Feet hip width apart. And just come to a classic pelvic tilt. warming the spine up in this way. And then just very gently pressing the feet down, lifting the bottom, chin comes into the chest, elbows come up, stretch behind you, your hands may or may not touch the ground. And as you breathe out, lower the back and bottom towards the ground. The hands naturally then will follow. When your bottom's on the ground, hug your knees into your chest. Soles of the feet to the ceiling and palms through that V. Hug the knees into the chest. Feet go back down onto the floor. Palms down onto the floor as well. Flatten the back, lift the bottom, roll up and back, chin to chest, stretch out. Start to breathe out, lower the back and bottom to the ground, and you'll get to a point where the hands naturally follow the movement. When your bottom's on the ground, lift your knees into your chest, soles of the feet to the ceiling, in a V, palms together. Hug the knees into the chest, and soles of the feet back down onto the floor. Palms down, one more time, flatten the back, lifting up, check that your knees aren't stretching out, staying out, arms up above you, chin to chest. Breathing out, lower your arms, lower your bottom. When the bottom's on the floor, hug the knees into the chest, and soles of the feet up to the ceiling, palms of the hands together. Hug the knees into the chest and just rock very gently from side to side. You can let the elbows touch the ground if you want a greater rock. Up to you. We're rolling across the back of the head, back of the skull. And then roll to the side, and we're going to come to child's pose. Again, the child's pose, there are different ways to do this. I've got my big toes together, my knees slightly wider apart. My hands, palms down and slightly in front of me. If your knees hurt, you don't have to come right down onto your heels. You can stay with your bottom lifted. And then we can come into, optionally, slightly lifting up, just rolling onto the back of the head. And then come back. You might want your knees to alter slightly if you're doing this. Just slightly rolling on the head. There's no pressure. You're keeping the weight on your hands, but you can stay in child. So in the Tibetan classic series, you'd be doing a headstand here. So this just nods to the headstand, aspect of rolling over the top of the skull, and it is optional. Come back to child. You can come with your arms in front of you. You can come with your arms, hands up. This is more classic child. You can come with your hands stacked one on top of the other. so that your forehead's not quite down as far. You can have a bolster. Stretching out the lower back. And then very gently, palms down as you come gently up. If your knees have been apart, then bring them in. And come to a very restful position. Either Shavasana lying on your back, or if you prefer constructive rest with your knees together and your feet out, then that's fine too. Palms either up or resting on your abdomen. If you're lying, just turn your head slightly from side to side. Come to bring your focus to your feet and see if you can consciously relax your feet, your toes, big toes, second toes, third, fourth toes and little toes. And relax into the space beyond the toes. Relax the soles of the feet, tops of the feet, the heels, shins and calves, tops of the knees, backs of the knees, the thighs, the pelvis as it rests on the ground. Moving along the front of the body to the stomach and up to the chest, up further and spreading across the collarbones and the shoulders. The upper arms relax, the elbows, the inside of the elbows and the backs of the elbows, along the forearms to the wrists, the hands, backs of the hands, palms, fingers, thumbs, second fingers, third, fourth, little fingers, and the space beyond the fingers. Bringing the attention to the spine, the tailbone, and moving along the spine, the lower abdominal area, the navel, along the spine, up to the heart center, behind the heart center, moving further up to reach the neck and throat area. Moving up the back of the neck and the back of the head and the space between the ears. Coming to the crown of the head and across the top of the head, dropping to the forehead and smoothing out across the forehead, across the brow, to the temples, the eyebrows, and the eyes as they relax back, dropping, relaxing. And just trace along the jawline
Down past the ears again, and the space between the ears, dropping to the jaw, and along the jawline to the chin. And then just coming up to the lower lips, the teeth, upper lips, and the nose settling at the base of the nostrils. Breathing in through the nostrils to a space in the center of the head. And as you breathe out, put anything you don't want or is not serving you today into that out breath as it travels through the body and leaves through the soles of the feet, going back to Mother Earth. And repeat that breath, bringing the focus of the in-breath through the nostrils to a point in the center of the head, and breathing out anything not serving you today, and let it leave through the soles of the feet. That can be any niggles or pains or worries. And again, bring that focus to the nostrils, letting the veil of translucent air come to the center of the forehead, center of the head, going out through the soles of the feet. And breathing in now. As you breathe out, the air wraps round, not just inside but outside, cleansing you as it goes and moving through the soles of the feet. And then very gently, just move the head very minimally from side to side. Barely perceptible movement. And move your fingers and toes if that feels appropriate. And then bending one knee and bending the other knee. Just let the knees drift fractionally from side to side. And then hug one knee into the chest, and then hug the other knee into the chest. And again, just gently roll from side to side. Rolling to the side, if that feels appropriate for you. And maybe just staying here, letting the body realign, readjust. And really take time to come up, not disturbing the body too much, and letting the body just adjust again to come from lying to the upward movement, giving the time for the fluids in the body to settle. Bring your hands to your heart and take a bow for yourself for the day ahead. And I'm going to take a card for today, a thought for the day. So it's a random card, I'm just cutting them. And the card for today is children. And I'll take another card, whatever that means to you. And dreams is the other card. And one more card, music. So that's all very floaty and lovely. Thank you very much. Have a lovely day ahead.